Last Sunday's presidential debate, along with the release of a tape of lewd comments by Donald Trump, has transformed the presidential campaign. Many high-profile Republicans have denounced and retracted support from Donald Trump, and he's responded by attacking GOP party leaders. Meanwhile, more released emails from the Hillary Clinton campaign has caused problems for her as both candidates make stops here in Colorado. Patty, I think we saw Trump earlier this week. We're going to see Trump later this week, and Hillary was in Pueblo just a couple days ago. They're not spending a lot of money on ads here, yet Pueblo's become the sweet spot stop for them. What do you think?
Well, I think that you can tell we filmed this show at noon on Friday because we were busy interrupting each other last Friday because the big news had been the vice presidential debate. And then all of a sudden we had a locker room gate come up right after we were done filming. I don't think we need to indulge in locker room banter here, but I will say that Charles Krauthammer's column where he's talking about it's not the locker room, it's the lock her up conversation that is what is so dismaying about the Trump groups. And that was certainly one of the amazing moments in that debate when Trump is saying basically he's going to, if he's elected president, one of his first things will be to investigate and lock up Hillary Clinton. It got more polite from there. It was just a crazy debate and amazing just watching him lurk over her. And bad news for Hillary this week, too. I mean, the emails again, which one of her handlers had said when the first news leaked out he thought would blow over in a weekend. The only thing that makes this blow over is the fact that Trump is such a blowhard that there's no room to talk about Hillary because we're all just talking about the next appalling thing he's done.
David, are you surprised to see so many stops in Pueblo and in Colorado in general, seeing that most of the money's been pulled out of the state?
No, Hillary's shoring up her victory, and Trump is flopping around like a dead fish and doing his best to try to survive. But the general election is over. And for that reason, I think people should vote, in my view at least, would be better off voting for someone with character and integrity. Evan McMullin, the independent candidate who was a conservative, used to run the House Republican Study Committee on policy, is in a statistical tie for first place in Utah. Utah is a very conservative state. Colorado is a more libertarian state. So Gary Johnson's has the best chance of delivering Colorado's electoral votes to someone who is not obviously unfit for office. And it'll vary place by place. But the more people who vote for a third party, the more at least some people in the country can show there's rejection of the culture of impunity, which Trump and Clinton both epitomize. Jay Leno, back in 1999, when Trump was talking about running for president then and saying, well, maybe people need a change from Clinton, he said, the womanizing, the sexual misconduct, shady real estate deals, Trump is Clinton. and that prediction was right. I'll say my prediction a few months ago that this will be the most dirtiest, most negative campaign in history, and also the most honest, has come true. That first 20 minutes of the debate where they were saying all these terrible things about each other, maybe a little exaggeration here or there on a few phrases, but basically they were all right on. Every charge he said against her was accurate. Every charge she said against him was accurate. So kudos to both of them for their honesty. And I'll tell you what, if you're somebody who actually cares about the issue of sexual assault, for which he confessed, in the unusual criminal case where you have the confession first and then the accusation, and then after that, the denials. So you've not only got to believe that all these accusers are lying, you also have to believe he was lying when he confessed on tape. But then if you're voting for Hillary, you're of course voting for the wife of someone who's also a serial sexual assault perpetrator and someone who's participated in the cover-ups herself. And, oh, well, she didn't do it. Yeah, but he's coming to the White House if she's elected, 2 for 1, as he put it in 1991. And he's going to be back at the scene of the crimes he's perpetrated in the past. The Democrats have honored him with a speaking role at every convention since his presidency. Neither party cares about sexual assault. They just use it for politics.
Eric David's long been known for his milquetoast attitude towards this presidential campaign, so the comments aren't surprising. As you look at the last few weeks here of the campaign, we have stops in Pueblo as if Colorado's still a swing state. I think the last poll showed 11 points, so it's not a fight anymore. Are you surprised Pueblo is still such a highlight, or does that represent something that actually sells better in other states that may at some point be competitive?
I honestly don't know, Dominic. I can't figure out why Pueblo is everyone's favorite stop right now. It's become the new Peoria. Does it sell in Pueblo? Does it sell in Peoria? This election can't come soon enough. Could we just have this thing tomorrow? I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm voting when I receive my ballot next week and be done with this thing. This thing cannot be over soon enough. I don't necessarily disagree with David. I tend to take a different tone than David and maybe use different words than David, but this is a deplorable election between a couple of deplorable candidates. Now, having said that, they are not equally deplorable. Everyone says, oh, you make all these false equivalencies, Eric. I don't make equivalencies. I just am critical of both of them, but one of them is a plausible president, one of them is not, and that is the difference you're seeing in the polls. This country does not want to elect Hillary Clinton president. They have made that abundantly clear. They would take any viable alternative, but there is no viable alternative out there. I think the news of this past week was the number of Republicans abandoning ship, jumping ship. Paul Ryan almost did it. Locally, Bill Owens had an interesting social media post called Trump a charlatan, and kudos to Bill Owens. My only question, and credit for all these Republicans, it is tough to abandon the titular leader, the nominee of your party, and credit to those who have done it. But why did it take this latest incident to convince them that he was unfit for office? I mean, I won't do the whole litany of incidents that have preceded it, but why was this latest incident somehow the tipping point for them? You know, the guy he completely lacks discipline, he lacks qualifications, he lacks plausibility, he lacks integrity. Now, that's not to say his opponent has him in spades, but you get the sense that we're playing for time here. The country needs to buy 4 years till it can switch generations and hopefully have better choices than what we are confronted with right now. And only one of those candidates seems like they are up to that particular task.
Penn, if you're a down ticket candidate in either race, in either party, how much of your campaign are you dedicating to I'm not necessarily aligned with the top of my ticket?
If I'm a Republican, all of my time. I'm not aligned with him in any way, shape, or form. If I'm a Democrat, I'm not going to spend my time distancing myself from Hillary Clinton. I'm going to spend my time extolling the virtues of my candidacy and what my party stands for. Here's the big difference, and I understand where everybody else is headed, and this has not been our best moment as a country this political season. But the reality is we knew, and the Republican Party knew what it was getting in Donald Trump. They just thought it was cute when he was aimed at somebody else rather than at the Republican Party that nominated him. Now that he's aimed at the Republican Party that nominated him, everybody's all aghast and surprised, but this is nothing new. This is who he is. And he's trying, I think now, to make this the filthiest race possible and say, we're both pigs in slop, but I'm less dirty than she is, so vote for me. And if you vote for me, I'll put her in jail. So vote for me. I don't think it's going to fly. I think he's showing up in Pueblo and Colorado Springs because he's flying around the country, showing up in places where he can get a crowd of at least 20 or 30 people to cheer and talk about he's their guy. One other thing I'd note, he's basically offended every possible voting bloc he has. I was in a barbershop the other day, and we were watching one of his rallies with Trump, and there was a sign that said blacks for Trump. And one of the guys in the barbershop said, no, it should say black for Trump. There's only one guy standing there.